All right, it is Sunday afternoon. We're fixing to go rake hay. It's obviously not going to bale today, but it'll for sure bale tomorrow. But we'll get it up in windrow, and I don't have very high hopes for a good yield. That dry spell we had there, basically pretty much all of July, really took its toll. It looked like kind of halfway decent mowing it, and then now that it started to wilt down, it's like, is this even going to be worth the fuel? But it had to be cut, because if you want to get a third cutting, you got to make a second. Hopefully we get some rain in August, and this will set me up for a third cutting like second weekend in September, hopefully. So we shall see. But I got to get the rake greased. Tractor's fueled up. This morning, while I was waiting for stuff to happen, I went and got the new fuel tank set up to replace the old big overhead one up on the hill at Mom and Dad's that started leaking 2 weeks ago, or whenever that was. I bought a new pump and stuff, and got that tank set up so I could actually pull out of it, and then filled my truck out of it. The first load, I want to make sure I double filter, so anything that comes out of there is going to go out of the tank, through the filter on the pump, into my truck, then through the filter that's on my truck, and then into whatever, because there was some floaties in the bottom of the tank when we went to fill it. So I just want to make sure that stuff doesn't end up in a tractor. So, but I think that's all I needed to tell you to get you filled in on what we're doing today. So let me get this thing greased real quick. Oh, on the mowing video, and hold on, I want to give credit where credit is due, because this guy might have just saved my bacon as far as finding parts. Hold on here. I was going to look at his name before I started doing the video, and then I forgot. We want a little bit further, a little bit further, a little bit further. Chris Maddox said the breakaway on that mower looked the same as the one on his Ford 501. So I was like, there's no way. So I went on the internet and just happened to find a video on the YouTubes of a guy replacing the pitman stick on his Ford 501, and I'll be damned if that Ford 501 pitman arm breakaway is not identical. And I'm pretty sure that the pitman stick is even 100% identical. It just looks like Ford used a different end on the crank side. So I guess I need to look up or get my hands on some part numbers for all that stuff off of a Ford 501 mower and see what the odds are that there's some of those floating around a New Holland dealer somewhere. Probably don't want to pay New Holland's prices, but there is, or was, a bazillion of those Ford 501s made. So chances are, if any sickle mower is going to have parts still readily available, it's going to be a Ford 501 or something New Holland, because those would have been the two probably most widespread, other than like a Ford Dearborn previous to the 501. But so fingers crossed I can come up with something using Ford part numbers. But we shall see. So anyway, there's that. You're all caught up. Let me get this thing greased. We're going to go rake some hay. All right, we're off to the races. Well, here she be. it probably would bale today, but there's like just some green slugs like right there, and we're not in any hurry. There's not any rain coming for a couple of, just give her one more day to be safe, but we'll get it up in a windrow. But I try, at the very least, this got to be double raked, probably triple. Like I say, it looked a lot thicker when I was mowing it, unfortunately. But at least this field is not necessarily my problem, because I don't get any second cutting off of it anyhow. The landowner's daughter does, which kind of sucks for her because she wants 60, and I doubt it makes 40. I mean, maybe it comes out of left field and surprises me, but I doubt we get 40. Tell you what, like I say, they got the highway closed and there's traffic detoured down this road and down my road, and they drive like freaking idiots, and naturally they're all out-of-state plates, Indiana and Illinois. Drive like a bunch of retards. Honestly surprised there hasn't been more accidents, but there's been cop activity like crazy since they've done it. This field's all raked. I doubled all of it except for on the back side of the hill back there. That I like probably close to quadrupled, because there's basically no stand on that back hill. It's pretty pitiful. Even on first cutting, there was basically nothing back there. I don't know if replanting it would help, or if it's just that hill's in such bad shape that you're not going to get anything to grow back there, but it might make 40 bales, and windrows were bigger than I thought they'd be, but I guess time will tell. So, on to the next one. Okay, all the raking's done. You're raking this stuff and you're looking at how green it is. It's like, man, this stuff's really still that wet. And it's like, nah, that's just how green it is. I do love this hay. There's still obviously some green in it, but now that it's all fluffed up and off the ground, one more day of drying, it'll be ready to rock. There's just not going to be a whole lot of it. So I'm going to run home, get the rake put away, get the tee dug out, fueled up, get the baler greased and ready to go. Probably get everything hooked up. That way tomorrow, all I got to do is hop on the tractor and go. Probably get the hay wagon drug over to the field tonight. So we shall catch you guys tomorrow to bale. All right, it's time to go baling. It's just gonna be me and Shelly. I asked her, because she's gonna be on the wagon. I think my plan is third cutting, because it's gonna be nice and light. What we're gonna do is on that quote unquote big open field, the one out in front, on the road, we'll skip the hay wagon, just bale and drop that. Since it's third cutting, it's not going to be huge, and teach her to run the baler. That way she just gets used to having the tractor and the baler. And then, because tractor, baler, wagon, if you're not even used to running tractor or baler, that's a lot to keep track of and to plan your turns and everything. So put a little bit of oil in it. So that's my, I want to get her comfortable running the baler, so I think we're going to do that on third cutting. And hopefully I can plan it on a weekend where we're not in a hurry to try to get it done before dark. But I asked her if she wanted help on the wagon, and she did. I was going to see if Dad could come over run tractor and I'd be on the wagon with her. And she's like, no, I got it. So I said, okay, we'll see how it goes. But I'm going to go grab some oil, top this thing off, and we'll be on the road. I guess we're done for the day. I don't know exactly what happened, but broke the bill hook tension arm on this knotter. I got a spare knotter frame somewhere. I should have a spare part, but by the time I get it, go find it and get it, we're done for the day. So, and it hadn't been a very good day. I think they don't know if it's going to rain tomorrow or not. Okay, they did take the sun. They did take the rain out of tomorrow. We're just supposed to be dealing with wildfire smoke, so I guess I can just leave it. We'll throw the bales off that I've got, take them home so they're not getting dewed on, and I guess that'll be the day. So, gotta love making hay, huh? All right, we're back. I got a new tension arm for this bill hook put on last night. Luckily I had that spare knotter frame, and then I just got done. I tripped it, rolled it over by hand to make sure nothing was hitting. Still don't understand why it broke. So everything's reset back to zero. New twine's fed. I think part of my problem yesterday was the hay was tough. It's greatly improved. I wish I wouldn't have been so gung-ho about doing this. I should have watched. When I was raking this Sunday, they were still predicting scattered thunderstorms today, and then by Monday, yesterday, they completely took them out, and I'm like, well, if I'd have known that, I'd have tedded this stuff out and gave it another day to dry. But Sunday, when I thought it was going to rain, it's like, well, I'd rather bale a little tougher than lose the whole day and crop the rain, and now here we sit. But it's had another day of drying. Of course, this is all Canada wildfire smoke haze, so that's not helping any. But hopefully some of my knotter issues, because when we got rolling yesterday at the other field, like the first 2 rounds we fought and fought and fought and fought, would not keep knots. And I was playing with bill hooks and settings and everything, and I'm like, okay, I've adjusted everything I could think of on the knotters. Let's switch twine balls. And when I put the new balls in, when I was servicing the baler, I was looking at the old ones, and I mean, there's only like that much left around the rim. They were almost used up, but they were all like poofed up, and I was like, I almost just threw them away, because I'm like, man, them things have been sitting in there for 2, 3, 4 weeks, however long since I've been done straw, and I wonder if they drew moisture. Apparently they did, because I switched twine balls. It chunked out the rest of that field without missing a lick. And then we get over here, it starts having issues again, but the hay over here was tougher, so hopefully that was the problem. But I'm gonna hand feed this stuff back through and get it to tie a knot without moving, so that I can watch stuff. And hopefully, fingers crossed, because yesterday I was ready to start throwing shit. must have been the problem. The hay was just too tough last night. It was making a lot nicer bales today, and you could tell just by the way the baler sounded last night. The plunger was hammering, and today it was quiet as a church mouse. But that made some incredibly nice hay. I wish I should have just waited yesterday, but like I say, I thought I was racing rain until I checked the weather. But it was one of them deals, like I think at the end of the mowing video I mentioned that we weren't racing rain because they'd taken it out. Then by Sunday they'd put it back in, or Sunday morning they'd put it back in whenever I checked. Then it was out. Then it's all this last week has been in, out, in, out, in, out. And here lately, every time they've been doing that, they've been catching the in. Now this time we missed it. And honestly, it probably would have been in a lot better shape yesterday, except for yesterday we also had more of the smoke. This is gonna be, huh. I'm gonna have to hammer that out. But anyway, there's what, 5, 10, 15, 20, 21, 22. And I didn't get a count of what we made off of it yesterday before the baler broke, but I guess at least 10. So we're probably somewhere in the mid 30s off of this, which not terrible for lack of rain. And the wagon worked great. That back wheel's still on it, so that's always a good sign. So I'm gonna get this thing unhooked, and we gotta go over and get Shelly's mom's done, and that'll be it. right, that's everything baled. It turned. I'm glad I ended up having to wait. I mean, I'm not glad I broke that knotter, but I'm glad I ended up having to wait another day, because it definitely made for a lot nicer hay. And I'm glad the weather halfway cooperated. It would have made a lot nicer hay if we'd have had full sun the last 2 days, but it is what it is. And like, these Canada wildfires, man, they've been having big ones for like at least 1 or 2 a year for like, what, the last 3 years? Like, is somebody setting these things on purpose? And I know that this year there's a big chunk of Canada that's in a pretty severe drought, but still, I mean, holy crap. It's almost too convenient. But I don't know. So anyhow, we're gonna get these things picked up, I think. Shelly's mom's coming up here, and then we're gonna go get my stuff put in the barn. I'm probably not even gonna get the elevator out for it. I'll probably back the wagon through the door and pitch them up, and they're probably gonna end up on the straw side, because there's a big hole. We moved a bunch of straw since I baled it, and there's a hole big enough over there that should be able to put in that those can stay separate from first cutting. So anyhow, we'll see in a bit. All right, hay's in the loft, baler's cleaned out, put away. I pulled the twine out of it this time, and I'm going to store the twine in the house. That way it doesn't draw moisture again. That had to be the problem, at least yesterday. At the beginning, tough hay was what ended it, but still don't know what broke that tension arm for that bill hook, though, because yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Nothing comes into contact with it other than the bill hook. But if something had to break, I'd much rather it be that, because that's easy to replace. If it was a bill hook that broke, that's a little bit more involved. Hay wagon worked good. If I get a chance this weekend, I'll pop a hub off and get it knocked apart, get the bearings out of it, so I get part numbers and whatnot, so that I can get some coming and go through those, because the back one that I tightened up is loose again, but it made it through. So pulls like a dream down the road. I mean, I knew that bearing was bad, so I held her at 30, but 30 mile an hour, straight as an arrow. Doesn't wobble, doesn't weave, doesn't fishtail, nothing, just so I think it's going to be a really good gear. Let that thing, if we get a good dry week with some sun on it, let the surface of that lumber dry off, and then start hitting it with linseed oil so that it has a better weather protectant, because let's face it, anymore treated lumber is garbage. I mean, back when I was a kid, you bought treated lumber, that stuff was like deep, dark green. Just, you picked it up, it was all greasy, slimy, it had so much treatment in it. Now it's hardly any different color than regular non-treated lumber. I'm sure that for some reason, either A, to cut cost, or B, somebody mandated somewhere that the stuff they used to treat lumber with is now environmentally harmful, so they can't use as much of it or use it or whatever. But anyway, get something on it other than the treatment to protect it, and linseed oil is my go-to anymore, because I'm incredibly happy with how that stuff works. And it actually dries out, unlike other types of oil that once you put it on there it stays slick. Linseed oil soaks in and then dries back out, so it's not like a skating rink. So, but all in all, not a bad second cutting, other than the mechanical issues we had. Some of them were a fault of my own. Hay mower, or sickle mower, update on that. it is the exact same setup as a Ford 501, which I mentioned earlier in this video. Upon further investigation, since I mentioned that earlier in this video, I found out that is actually known as a Kosh, C-O-S, or K-O-S-C-H, Kosh latch system. I don't know if Kosh was a company that made mower parts. I don't know if that was a guy that invented it. I don't know what, but that's what it's called, the Kosh latch system. Ford used it, Oliver used it, obviously. Maybe there's some other places that used it. So anyway, apparently Oliver and Ford didn't forge those parts. They bought them. And because of that, you can get them brand new from Web Cutting Components. I can buy the latch handle, I can buy the spring, I can buy both halves of the latch, and I'm guessing that also means that the sickle drive head, it looks identical in the picture. The only thing I'm going to do, ironically, we used to have a Ford 501. Dad had it for cutting brush. His was heavily modified though. But he's got some sickles off of it, and I'm going to take one of those sickles off of that and hold it up to one of mine. And if the hole pattern and everything's the same, that means that the drive head's going to be the same, and that means the cutter bar is going to be the same. So now all of a sudden I can just rebuild my mower with Ford parts from Webb, because that means it'll still be a 7-foot Ford bar. It'll be the drive head, and it'll be the only thing that will probably be different is the pitman stick, which those are easy enough to get blanks and make your own. So that's good news. That's all off-the-shelf parts now. A little salty, but still cheaper than buying a new mower, or a different mower that won't do the job that I want it to do, because it won't fit where I want it to go. So there's that. Like I say, I think our baler issue was solved by just tough hay. So yeah. And as far as yield goes, there was 65 bales off that first field. Like I say, I didn't get a full count because that stuff from last night we took to Shelly's mom's. And I forgot to count it. And there was 5 bales. Unfortunately, I don't get second cutting off of the big field. Well, I get some of it. This time the sum of it that I got turned out to be 5 bales, because I made 65 bales, and the landowner's daughter, as my, I guess, quote-unquote rent, is she takes 60 bales, which that comes out to roughly 400 bucks, or not 400, about 100 bucks an acre for that field. But I'm also cutting beans off the back of it. I get all the first and all the third cutting, so I think I'm getting the better end of the deal on it. So I got 5 bales off of that field. I think the second field, somewhere around 30-ish figure. So there's 22 up here in the barn. There was probably, sorry, 7 or 8 last night. And then Shelly's mom's made 18. So, but if I could have kept second cutting off of the big field, I'd have had right around 100 bales in the loft, but that's not the way it works. So, but pray for some rain in August, and if we can make a decent third cutting, get another 50 or 60 bales a third maybe between everything. That because I get third cutting off of that field. So, but anyhow, that should get everybody up to speed as to where we're at. Now that hay is done, we're going to move on to fair and ran tool activities. I got oil and filters to change the front gear case in the 270s. That's going to be my next project. At some point this week, my uncle's supposed to have that other tractor dug out of the barn so we can get all that stuff drug over here. I got to find a spot to put it for now. I made a phone call to start getting a quote worked up to put a lean-to on my barn with Arnold Lumber. I made that call yesterday. He's supposed to get back to me when he gets the information. I didn't hear back from him today. If I don't hear back from him Monday, I'll probably give him a call back and rattle their chain again. So that's in the works, because I need to get some more storage. Hopefully, if I can get that done for less than 20, I can do it in cash real easy and just get that done this fall. Would be ideal. Because that'll be minimal dirt work. I don't ever plan on putting a concrete floor in there or nothing. The big side with sand in it, that's set up if I ever decided to put concrete, but it's probably just gonna be gravel. But the lean-to part, it'll just be probably graded off flat enough to be flat. Don't worry about hauling in any sand, and then it'll get asphalt millings put on it, and it'll be good enough because it's just a lean-to. So that's in the works, hopefully. Depending on where they come at on price, we'll see. I might look at doing both sides this year, but I doubt it with grain prices. Yeah. So that's where we're at and where we're going. So that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.